This is Marc Kramer, Senior Lecturer of Entrepreneurship at VinUniversity and the host of Asian Founders and Funders. Today we have Quân Phạm, founder of Nextxeller. Quân, welcome.
Hello, Mark. Hello, everybody. So it's my honor to be here with you today, and thank you for this amazing session so I can share everything with you guys.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be interviewing you, especially since you're a Drexel University grad, and I taught 5.5 years at Drexel University. So I'm thrilled to be interviewing you here in Vietnam. Quan also taught in my class this past week, and he is amazing. I would be shocked and disappointed if at some point he himself didn't become a professor because he's so charismatic in front of students, and they loved listening to him talk about his journey. So, Quan, let's start talking about your journey. How did you tell us about how you founded this company and what it does?
So actually it is not my first company. My first company was in 2022 when I was a sophomore uh, at Drexel. So I got back to Vietnam for my summer vacation, and I got to talk to my sister, and she also wants to do something in education. And I also want to do that because I used to teach English in my hometown, which is Hazang, like a long time ago, and have been teaching in a quiet time. So I just want to do something meaningful because in my personal statement essay, when I apply for American colleges, I want to give back and contribute to my community because Hà Giang has always been one of the poorest provinces in Vietnam, as everybody knows. So we wanted to found an English center in Hà Giang, and I want to give the students the best teaching quality, and the USP is beside the courses and the academic aspects, I also give the students the accommodation because the Hazan province is very big, and the roads and the transportation is very difficult. Yeah, but it failed because of some legality and compliance and legal documents. So and then we found um but we still have the entrepreneur spirit here in my heart. So I really want to do something back and still give back to the community. So we founded Penny X. Penny X is the mother company of Nextxeller. So Penny X is the seller, is the one who started the global e-commerce business, cross-border e-commerce business. So we decided that we think Vietnamese Vietnamese sellers and Vietnamese brands have a lot of potentials to bring their products and bring their best quality materials to the US and to make some money, right? To make some money. So we source products from Vietnam, and sometimes we source some products in China as well. And we do the marketing, we do the research, we do the high level advertising to target people in the US, and we successfully have sold the products in the US, and we received the award from Amazon Global Selling Team in Vietnam for the innovator. It was an award given to seller for being innovative, for applying technology and AI into the business. And then after we got the award, we got a lot of good feedback, and everybody approached us to work with us. So that's the time when we founded Nextxeller to help other Vietnamese sellers uh, and brands and companies to start selling products on Amazon and on other e-commerce platforms in the US. And that's what I am very passionate about because I want to contribute and to help my country to grow.
So tell us, how did you come up with the idea, and what market research did you do to validate this?
So actually because I live in the US, so I can see the differences in human behaviors when compared to Vietnamese using e-commerce and American using e-commerce platform. So let's say, for example, in the US, everybody uses cards, either debit cards or mostly credit cards, right? So
Yes.
they use, I would say, future money to satisfy
Mhm.
their own current needs and wants. And this habit um, make them like they decide to purchase the products very quickly, and they always pay before receiving the products. But in contrast, in Vietnam, we are not used to using credit cards. So people still use the COD method. Do you know about the COD method?
COD method, yeah, of course, cash on delivery.
Yes. And people in Vietnam love that. They only want to do that because they only want to pay the money when they receive the products and even check the product. So, a lot of people, I would say the word, a lot of sellers are worried about the status of the customers receiving the products, but they don't pay for it. And or they didn't like even like the products was shipped to them, but they don't receive the products. And they have so the sellers have to ship back again and again, back and forth, which costs them a lot of money. So that's one of the reasons why. And the the consumerism in the US is crazy. It's crazy. People, I would say sometimes people would buy without thinking too much, and
Yeah,
they spend like crazy. They spend like insane. And the payroll cycle is very like it's every 2 weeks. So people would also have more money to spend compared to at least Vietnam. So we can see the crazy demand. We can see the how people spend money. So we decided that it has to be American. It has to be the US. So we decided to do e-commerce in the US. So for the products, we focus on the it's a category called tools and home improvement. So one more keyword. I had to say that even I live in the US and I have this habit as well. So I would say the Americans are very lazy. They really
uh,
want they want things that are very convenient and help their daily lives to be so much easier, right?
all the time.
All the time. So I focus on tools and home improvement. I we um so we research and we gather all the data in this category because Americans they spend a lot of time at home and they always think about convenience. They always think about convenience. So we think that this categories would be the most lucrative one. So we research other products and we see like, okay, in the bathroom, there are some products that can meet their needs and wants in the kitchen as well. Also in the living room. We have some products that are very functional, and the functional products would lead to higher conversion rate, but the price cannot be high. But some products about like decoration, about aesthetic, it so it may have lower. conversion rate, but the price can be higher. So that's the process of,
Better margins.
yeah. So that's the journey and the process of choosing the market and the category.
So, how do you know which products are going to sell in the US? And what's the minimum net margin you're looking for them? And do you advise uh, your sellers on how to position themselves?
hmm So that's the questions that people ask me. But there is one advantage of selling products on e-commerce that we can gather easily than traditional B2B or any offline channel is that we got the data directly from Amazon and from other third-party tools as well. So um, the data we have is we got all the data information sources as we need. We got from Amazon. They have one tool from on the Seller Central portal called Product Opportunity Explorer. So they provide many information for sellers and brands to see which products in which category can be potential. Also, we got Healing 10 and we got Seller Spry, some third-party tools that you can use to see some other data and insights besides from the one from Amazon. Also, um, but the most important one is that you have a lot of the information, you have a lot of data. But what is the most critical one is your ability to analyze all this data, right? Because when you are bombarded with a lot of information coming at you, okay, you got all the information, you got in all the charts, all the graphs, all the tables you want, but your ability to analyze, to really know what to look at, what to ignore at the time is really important. So for Amazon, we use Amazon FBA. So do you know about FBA? Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's the fulfillment services by Amazon. So
Yeah.
it's very expensive, I have to say. That Amazon, I would say, nearly costs us an arm and a leg. It's very
Uh-huh.
expensive. So the key here is the cost structure. We have to know which products with the most beneficial cost structure. So the keyword is that we have
The
to
one that has the fattest margins?
yes, but by that we have to identify all the costs, right? So
Yeah.
one keyword for us to sell products in the US is that we have to find the products that are the most I would say I would not say small, but it has to be compact. It can be big, but it must be foldable or it is must in its minimalist size
Hmm.
so that the forwarder cost, the fulfillment cost would be in a reasonable percentage compared to the price. So luckily we can see the forwarder cost and the FBA cost of the competitors. So when we're researching the products, we can see, okay, which competitors is the best for us to benchmark against. So we can see, okay, the competitor A, they have the FBA cost of around 40%. Competitive B, they have the FBA cost of around 25%. And they still sell very good. So competitor B would be our main object of researching.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like that. So we try to find all the way to minimize any cost as possible.
Okay.
So
And so what percentage is Amazon taking?
it can range from, so I would say I would list all the costs by Amazon. So first you have the referral fee.
And how
So
much is that?
it depends on the category you sell. So it can range from 5% to 15, I don't know, I would say 17%. But the mean and the average is 15%. So that's for referral. And then you
Uh-huh.
have the FBA fee if you use the Amazon fulfillment services. So it's around, I would say the cheapest would be, yes, for some products you can have it can cost you around 15%. But on average it is around 25 to 30%. And the highest can be around 45 to 50%.
So already there's somewhere between 45 and 50% of the ticket price before
Yes.
you even make any money. So if
That's a
something that
lot.
what's that?
That's a lot because I haven't account for the advertising fee yet.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
So the advertising is so the advertising spend. So it depends on how well you manage your advertising, right? So it is a PPC model. So you have to pay for each click. So it depends on how effective you manage all this, but if you're good enough, and it depends on the category. If you're good and it can be around 10 to 15%. But
Oh my God.
at first, if you done it poorly, it can be 30, 40, 50, 60%.
So
If
you're
you
left with nothing.
Yes, for the first phrase for the initial launching. Sometimes we have to be okay with the loss because it is a predicted and um a managed loss sometimes.
Wow.
Yes.
So, so what are the best businesses to start that if you just want to launch, like you're a new entrepreneur and you wanted to launch something, and you and I have even talked about how I want to launch a t-shirt business
Okay.
and sell my product, but I need somebody to print it, to ship it out, to collect the money, all these different parts of it. What businesses can you start pretty quickly that could be reasonably profitable?
Okay, so we have differences business on Amazon. So when I talk about FBA and I mostly talk about private labels.
Uh-huh.
So you own your label and you sell your products under your label. So we often talk about a little bit mass production for that.
Okay.
But you can have POD as well. So POD is your t-shirt business that you want to. So for POD, so you print on demand. So you only sell products for each demand order, right?
Right.
So of course the initial investment will be much lower. But it is a little bit more difficult to scale because you have to do because when we talk about POD, we talk about customization, we talk about personalization. So it's very like personal and one-to-one level. So it's a little bit more difficult to scale but the initial investment is lower and the return on investment is quite good. And you can get profit right away on each order when compared to Amazon FBA. Because when you own your label, you want to build trust in your customers. You want to build your visibility, you want to build your loyalty. So it's a long term, it's I would say it's more long term vision, and you can see what's in the future for your private label. But for POD, people don't really care about the label. They care about the design. They care about what's on the t-shirts. So, I would say POD is, uh, I can see it's not that long term, but money wise, I would say POD, money wise and margin wise and ROI wise, I would say POD is a little bit better for individuals who wants to have their own business and still making money, but just not that large amount.
It's a nice side business, maybe.
Yeah, I would say it was lovely. You don't have to dedicate a lot of time, especially when you have some services that can take care everything for you as well.
I remember a few years ago, maybe it's more than a few years ago, that that Amazon had the right to buy your business if they wanted to, and they
Yes.
could buy it very inexpensively. Well, what's that about?
So it's the vendor. It's the vendor side and not the seller side. It's so on Amazon you can either be the seller, which is the most easy way with no barrier. But if you
Uh,
want to be a vendor, you have to be a very good seller, and you have to sell to Amazon with very low prices. And the payout time is a little bit far. It can extend to 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days.
if you're a vendor to Amazon itself, then.
Yes.
And is that for their private label goods or for everything that you might sell to Amazon?
So you still have the private label yourself, but the seller on Amazon is no longer you. It is on Amazon. So
And
it's
goes
a
under their
wholesale.
brand.
Yes, but still my brand. Yes. But in some categories, Amazon have their own label, like Amazon Essentials.
Uh-huh.
So it's a lot of competition even with Amazon themselves. And sometimes we have to compete with Amazon, which would be a red ocean for any sellers like us. We really want to avoid those categories in which Amazon shows up as a seller or even with their own brands.
I've read that you have to be careful with Amazon that if they show an interest in your business and they tell you that they might want to buy your business and that they take a look at everything you're doing, they might decide not to buy it and just copy it or do something just like what you're already doing. I've read that before.
Can be. So that's the place where we think about intellectual property, right? So if our product is making good money and it is something that we really want to protect, so we definitely have to think about um the IP, the intellectual property. You have trademark, of course, you have the trademark yourself, but you have to think about copyright and most importantly, I think patent, right? So
And yeah, but that's only really good if you have the financial ability to defend it. I
yes,
mean, to defend against Amazon, knowing that you're 2 weeks away, 2 years away from even a trial, because and you're a minimum of 50 to 100,000 USD just for the lawyers, just to start this.
yes,
And unless you have something that's of real super value and you can get somebody to come and back you in a lawsuit and share
mhm,
in the lawsuit, it's almost not even worth spending the money to even get the intellectual property, right? I mean,
yes. So just one key point is that actually Amazon is very greedy. They're very
yeah.
greedy, but they only love the high volume and like the big and like the basic market.
Hmm.
So they don't really actually deep dive into very small, very niche products. Like as I always tell my clients and even myself to do. So even though Amazon is greedy, but we have to know and aware of that, and we choose the right category to focus on. Because Amazon only mainly focus on very basic very mass categories. So even
Mm-hmm.
though what you have said actually existed in the market, and we aware of that, but actually I'm not really afraid of that because we choose different paths and different ways, and sometimes I don't think Amazon, the sourcing team of Amazon even notice my categories because you have 40,000 categories and niches on Amazon. So you
40,000 different categories,
Yes,
categories alone.
yes. I cannot even count. So you have a lot of niches and you have a lot of small ways, small paths to stay away from the hunting eyes of the Amazon sourcing team and things like that. So we have a lot of ways to do, and especially for individuals and small businesses.
Do you
We
have to, go ahead.
So, for because we are the trading side, we are very flexible with the products. We can, as long as we got the data and everything, we can hunt for the products. But for the manufacturers, especially my clients, sometimes they want to because um, sometimes you cannot be very flexible with your manufacturing processes, right? It's a little bit harder to switch between products. So they came to me, they say, Quan, I really want to sell this, I really want to sell that. I would say something like very common products like instant noodles or food soak salt.
Uh-huh.
So that's very basic. And when I look um, on the website of Amazon, I can see all the products nearly sold by Amazon.com. And even they have the Amazon Essentials brand. So how can we compete while we are playing in their uh, school ground, playground?
Yeah,
That that's
in
nearly
their
impossible.
backyard.
Yeah, in their backyard. So I don't know. Their FBA fee can be only half of us, and there's no referral fee. So the price is just getting lower, lower every time. That's crazy.
Yeah, so you can't make any money doing that. Do For Vietnamese who are selling into the U.S. market, going through a service like yours, do they have to incorporate in the U.S. and pay U.S. taxes?
So it depends. You can use your legal entity as a Vietnamese company as well. That's fine. For the taxes, so as long as you show no nexus in the US, and Amazon has already collected the sales tax for you. So I think that's the tax responsibility for Vietnamese companies maybe has nothing to do. But when I am as a Vietnamese owner and I own a LLC or C Corp in the US, we have
Yep.
definitely the tax responsibility there. And you have to comply with all the legals in the US for your companies to really stay compliant with the states, with the federal laws, and with Amazon.
So do you say you have to, if I'm going to go and sell, if I'm Vietnamese and I go and sell my product into the US, and Amazon is taking out taxes anyway, to give to the US government, do I need to incorporate LLC or a C Corp, or that's not necessary?
It really depends on your vision and what you want to get out of this one. So, uh, some of my uh, some of my clients, Amazon, they want that Amazon is just the first touch when they enter the US. They want to expand to other channels as well. So,
Yes.
LLC and C Corp would be a good, uh, I would say legal backup. And um, I don't know how to express this, but like it's much easier for them to work with other entities in the future when they expand their channels. But for small individuals or people that just want to sell online, we can use different entities, maybe Vietnam or even Singapore or even Hong Kong or anywhere in the world, as long as in the list provided by Amazon, then you'll be fine. It really
So
depends on how well you want to, how far and how big you want to sell your products in the US.
sounds a bit complicated. Would you suggest that they talk to an accountants and lawyers, and discuss what the options are before they go and sell, or they could go test sell it, and then if they're going to really grow it, then they should probably talk to accountants and lawyers and find out, what legal entities and everything would have to be set up.
Always talk to uh, the legal advice consultant first because it is very complicated. And especially when it is cross-border, so you are under many regulations between the two or even the three countries. So always talk to legal advisor, lawyers, and everybody that you may have think about because you have to form a new company, you have to do the taxes, you have to consult your CPA, you have to consult product compliance team as like FDA, USDA, and all things like that.
I don't know how, after hearing all of this and then also knowing that Vietnam charges you something around 32% tax, what money is left over at the end of the day, between all these entities that are taking money from you? I mean, no wonder the consumer has to pay so much in some cases for products, but I'm surprised that low cost products, the cost to make them must be next to nothing because everybody is taking so much between here and there.
So actually, on company level, Vietnam only charge you a maximum 20%, not
Uh-huh.
unlike the individual level. So
Okay.
so it's maximum 20% max, and I would say it's very difficult at first, and especially in the first year. But it's so much more complicated than I can
Yeah,
talk here. Yeah, but
of
I want to
course.
say that
Just hearing
sometimes
this is complicated.
sometimes for your profit, you have to choose um the legal regulations that can benefit you the most. So I usually talk about Hong Kong and Singapore, where they have the offshore tax exemption. If you can prove that your source of money is made out of the country, like out of Hong Kong out, or out of Singapore, you can prove that if you can prove that, you don't have to pay any taxes at all. The tax is 0%.
Oh, then I guess you got to consider that for sure, because
Yeah,
every
but
penny counts.
yeah, but just to say that this matter is very like I would say sensitive and it really depends on each brand and each seller. Right. So I don't have the one key answer to everybody. It really depends because some categories, some niches, the margin is very high. But in some cases, it's only 10 to 15%. So
In-
yeah,
Interesting.
it's really depends on what you sell, what is your business model, and everything else. So I just want to say to everybody else that be very careful, be very conscious, and but you have to choose the right legal consultants. Choose the one in the US, based in the US, so they would know the markets very well. Some, I would say, I don't know if I'm talking bad about other people, but some legal consultant services in Vietnam that they are say, okay, I'm very expert in cross-border e-commerce, but they just give very bad advice. And when I have critical questions to challenge their knowledge, they just cannot answer and they can just cannot satisfy what I'm asking. So this is very new in Vietnam and it's very complicated. So we have to be very careful. And actually, I just want to say it's sometimes we consider it's in the gray area. So we still have to wait and see what the regulations in the countries will change in the future. Because as you know, in Vietnam, in the past few years, things change so fast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As they're trying
So
to become more of a free market economy,
yes.
they've been adjusting very quickly and also trying to become more transparent, all these different things needed to attract investment into the country.
Yes. So it's very new. In I would say in Vietnam, after the political what is the word? Political enforcement and political change in 2025. They started to clear and clean up the domestic e-commerce like
Mhm.
Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok Shop in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So they have done pretty good with all of that. And I think once they are done with the domestic e-commerce, they will move to the cross-border global e-commerce because it has to be, and a lot of things to regulate. And the Amazon Global Selling team has worked very closely with the Ministry of Commerce, and so I think they will enforce some new policies, some new regulations in the future, and we have to wait and see because I don't know. Things will change, and we have to be very flexible, and we have to be very adaptable to the new changes and see.
And I'm sure the government has to be careful too because they don't want to destroy potential revenue by making it too expensive for companies to even do it. They're probably going to consult with people like you to
Yes,
get their advice on how they can make money at the same time everybody else makes money because it doesn't do them any good
and
if that
yes,
happens.
and actually, as you know, Vietnamese government they really want to focus and they really want to encourage exports, right?
Yes.
So this
Yeah.
what we do so far is B2C export. So
Yeah.
traditionally, Vietnamese companies and manufacturers, they are used to and accustomed to exporting B2B. But right now, you have to the trend and the latest movement in the market is B2C export. So Vietnamese government, I think they will have many incentives to help Vietnamese companies and factories and manufacturers to export B2C. Definitely, they will have, because we usually joke that by this, as what I'm doing, we are bringing dollars back to the mother's country.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so important. So let me change topics here. What do you like about being an entrepreneur, and what is the most challenging part?
Oh my God. I have to say, being an entrepreneur is not easy as at at all. Like people, I can see that people drop their jobs and they say, okay, I'm so fed up with my office 9 to 5 job. So, I have some money. I want to start my own startup. I want to be entrepreneur. And I said to them, are you actually ready for all of this? Because you don't work 9 to 5 anymore. You work 9 to 9 and you barely sleep at first. So the craziest part and the things I love about being entrepreneur is that I can try everything and I can really immerse myself in the challenges. And it is very easy to adopt new things, new solutions to solve the problems. Unlike when you work for companies and big corporations, the layers is crazy. It's like 10, 15 layers of approval. So in order for for any I would say innovative solutions to be adopted, it takes a lot of time. But for startup, the layers is very thin and it's a flat organization, so we can try different things very quickly. We can adopt new solutions. We can try with um the up to date what is the news talking about. We can try it right away. That's what I love about being an entrepreneur. But the craziest part and the most difficult part is that sometimes it's very unclear ahead because especially for new business model like ours, like mine, what I'm doing right now. Um, in Vietnam, when we talk about startup, many talk about they will open a coffee shop or a restaurant, which is very conventional and traditional. So I don't think they have any problems with the vision and the path ahead like I do. But for me, sometimes I even compare myself like driving a car in a during a night full of fog.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sometimes
that's a good comparison.
it's very, very unclear sometimes. And what I learned so far is that I have to be very careful. I have to drive at a constant speed. And what I can do is that I can improve myself. I can repair my fixes, my weakness. So my lights will be stronger, so I can see through the fog. But I will not choose to drive at high speed, even with a stronger lights, because in a world of unforeseeable things like this, especially with a lot of crisis worldwide, and especially my business model is related to the geopolitical situations of the world. So, what I want to say with all the entrepreneurs in my business, in my category of work, is that we have to be very careful. We have to be very conscious and stay calm, and especially when you are exposed to bad news, um, um, stay calm, breathe in, and think about it twice before give any reactions. That's really important.
Well, I have to say that I've done 30 startups, and people think that when you're an entrepreneur, you control your own time and that you can do what you want to do. But the reality is the business owns you.
Yes,
And do you agree? And it's like you're working at least 6 days a week and you're thinking at 24/7, 7 days a week,
it's my
and no matter
children.
what.
It's my child. Like,
Yeah.
and especially so as I talk to you, it really depends on the business models, how novel, how new it is in the context surrounding you. So maybe selling products on Amazon is not new in the US for American seller. It may exist like a long time ago, and everybody may know about that. But in Vietnam, everything is new. The regulations, the company, and the labor force, everybody has to learn so much. So the business actually owns me, and so we have to be very careful with the path ahead. Even though sometimes I would say it's very profitable, it can be very profitable. But what keeps us on track is the compliance and um, our consciousness and our calmness when we deal with the business.
So, as you probably have read, the failure rate in Vietnam of businesses is 90%, some
Yes.
cases 90% plus. How could Vietnamese reduce that 90% and be more successful? Why is that such a high failure rate?
So, in order for me to give the solutions, I have to know more about the reasons why they fail. So, I think most startup fail, I think of poor management because I could see different reasons. So, the failure here is after 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
so
face fail quicker because I've been in Ocean Park 1 for 3 years, And I've seen some locations have four or five businesses in it in 3 years. That they hope that they take off quick and they don't take off, even though they spend a lot of money, reconfiguring the space that they're in from one business to another, and still, they fail and go in. Is there any advice you would give to people becoming entrepreneurs and starting a business? What things that they should consider before they even launch?
Okay, now this is where I talk and give the key lessons to your students during my session last week. So, in order to reduce the failure rate, so first you have to think about the compliance and the regulations aspect of your business. Sometimes, to get the business permit from the government is not easy at all. And when you operate and you run your business without permit, you are literally violating the laws. So that's
Right.
risky, right? That's risky, and especially for some novel business model, you have to really be really careful with the tax, the compliance, the paper documents, and so in Vietnam, I would say in Vietnam, I think you already know about the Vietnamese bureaucracy, which is notorious.
Yeah.
The paperwork is crazy. I think some startup fail at the paperwork procedure and stage. Sometimes they fail to get the permit. That's one of the problem. Even though they have very cool product, very cool idea, but to realize that through the legal perspective is not easy. Unlike in the US, I think the US and some other countries are more, I would say, like a paradise for startups.
Oh, yeah, definitely the US. I mean, you can launch a business within an hour because you can incorporate within the hour, get every license that you need all online without
Yes,
ever touching a human being.
unlike Vietnam, unlike in Vietnam, things are not digitalized yet.
Yeah,
So it's a mix of between you have to submitting some documents online, but some documents you have to submit in person and see the officer who is not aware of what you are doing, and she seems so confused. So that's the problem in Vietnam. And the second thing is that the does your startup really solve the problem of the customers? Um, like you want to open a business just because you think it works and you love it and you want to do it, or you have done a good research of the market. For example, I would say in Ocean Park, you can see with one venue, with one location, you can see different coffee shops or restaurants,
tons of them.
tons of it, and some of them are empty and like no one goes there because
Yes.
does you can see like the demographics of the people living in Ocean Park. Are they interested in that kind of food? Are they interested in that kind of cuisine? And does it solve any problem? Do they want fast food for quick and convenience, or they really want to sit down and enjoy the food and talk to their guests? We can
Yeah.
see like if your business and your solution really fits the market and really serve the customers in some kind of way for it to for the business to really stay in business, right? So
Yeah, I think it's hard, and not only do you want to solve a problem, but a problem that they want to pay to solve. Because I
yeah,
experienced that myself, where I started a venture and to solve a problem, and then the people who ultimately wrote the check said, "I don't really care about
yeah.
solving this
That
problem."
like does it hurt enough to pay for the business to pay for
I,
your solution? Yeah, right.
Exactly. I mean, that's why people pay plumbers and electricians because they have a pain that needs to be fixed right away, and they're willing to pay what that's going to take. So we're running out of time here, Kwam, because it's been a great experience speaking to you. I
Yes,
have one more question for you. You work with your sister. What's
yes.
the positives and the challenges of working with a family member?
People always ask us why two siblings can work together. In Vietnam, this is completely nearly, I would say, impossible because
Uh,
um but I don't know, it makes like a universe messages sent down to us, even though we are two individuals with differences, but we really get along and we have been getting along like this for nearly a decade. And the good part about working with my sister is that we really understand each other. When we look at one problem, even though we have no discussion beforehand, we will have the same answer. We like the mindset is really close, but we also have some kind of differences about characteristics. I may be more calmer, I may be less bold, but she's really meticulous. She can seize the problem right away, and she's a little bit more fierce. So I think that's kind of complements each other. The difficult part is that sometimes you don't have the same voice as everybody else, as all the co-founders, and um, sometimes the difficult part is that we live under one house, and we bring the business stories to discuss all the time. And sometimes when I look at the house, I can see the business. I don't see any um uh I would say the romance or um the lack of a warmth of the warm house that we need. So sometimes that give me um some kind of a lack of feelings of being at home. And the craziest part is that when we have arguments, arguments are inevitable, right? So sometimes we have big arguments and we live under one house. And during those days, it's very difficult to look at each other's faces. Sometimes, right? So that's the most difficult part here. But I love working with her. We really complement each other and we learn a lot. And um, even beside being a business partner, we are good friends. We can talk to each other about anything in the world. So one of our favorite hobbies that during Saturday night we will drive a bike around Hanoi, and we will observe everything we can see. We can see the trends, we can see the people behavior, and we can see new construction around the city. And we discuss what is the meaning, what is the implication, and what we can learn from everybody else, everything else we can observe on our night. So I love her. I appreciate she's here for me, and I think we can together we can grow so much in the future. I believe that when you have a good partner by your side.
No question, somebody you can trust. Well, Quan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. And I really feel that you're going to be one of the people who really moves the Vietnamese economy over the next 5 years, and that you're going to become a big star in your own country and probably outside of it throughout Southeast Asia, helping entrepreneurs enter other markets like the US and Europe. And so I'm looking forward to following your career.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. And actually, what I have been experiencing so far is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think there's so much more to learn. And I really want to be by your side and everybody else to help the country to grow. And I believe in Vietnamese young generations that can do it.
I do as well. That's why I started the first high school national entrepreneurship competition in all of Southeast Asia because I believe that the potential
Yeah.
is amazing, and started an MBA focused on AI as an entrepreneur because I think that Vietnam is going to flip the switch. Instead of just manufacturing other people's stuff, it's going to start designing its own and selling it out to the rest of the world. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to bring you back again to talk further.
Thank you so much.